Hi, in my free class, the only three things that you need to do to lose weight, I had mentioned a list of ingredients that you should avoid. I mentioned that you should avoid white sugar, can cause weight gain, high fructose corn syrup, wheat. A lot of wheat products can cause you to gain weight. Even if you're trying to work out, you're like, oh, why I lost 10 pounds this week, but this week I gained back 5. Wheat, refined sugar, and high fructose corn syrup can contribute to weight gain. But there's some other items that I want to mention. Um, a lot of people, there are some experts that say that certain GMO foods can cause people to gain weight. And this is a separate course. I don't want to give away all the information, but either next week or week after, I'm going to do the GMO, the genetically modified organism class. And that class is going to be about the is GMOs harmful to humans if they eat the GMOs? And if you notice that, I'm going to put like a photo up with the class. And when you see the people who, I don't know the proper term, but the people who handle the GMO seeds and the foods, especially like certain types of corn. If you're going to eat corn, I suggest organic corn because other types of corn are kind of like genetically modified. And so the person they had showed that was going out into this GMO farm, they, and by the way, Monsanto is like one of the biggest manufacturers of GMO food. So the person had a big helmet on, and they had like the space suit, and they're like holding the corn, analyzing the corn in their hand. So a lot of people were wondering, well, if he has to dress like that to handle the corn, and we're eating that, and that's going into our digestive system, we're digesting that food, not just corn, but other foods, what's going to happen to us? So I had did some research, and before I get into the foods that cause you to put on weight, there was a question, what are the risks of GMOs? And so one expert had wrote that several animal studies indicate serious health risks associated with genetically modified food. And this was published by AAEM 2009. The animals that they did the study on, they experienced infertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, faulty insulin regulation, and changes in major organs and the gastrointestinal system. Okay, so I know some people who have complained about some of these problems that I had just mentioned, especially the gastrointestinal problems. Now, if they're harming the animals that they test on, I mean, what's not to say that it's going to cause harm to us? And there have been some studies taken where people have complained that they had experienced some issues with health by eating GMO foods. Have you noticed that since the 80s and 70s, well, since actually the 2000s, more like the late 90s and 2000s, even today, have you noticed that a lot more people are complaining about allergies in their foods like never before? Well, GMOs is one reason why a lot of people are suffering from food allergies and food sensitivities compared to years back in the 80s and 90s. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into allergies and health issues, but I wanted to talk about with the weight gain. I have to go back to my notes. And there was an author, this particular article that I was reading was written by Dr. Edward Group, DC. And if you want to read up on an article, it's at globalhealingcenter.com/natural-health. Well, if you just type in globalhealingcenter.com in Google, and then you put top 20 GMO foods and ingredients to avoid, these are some of the ingredients that you will want to avoid because there has been some studies that experts believe that can cause weight gain. And I noticed that because when I stopped eating certain foods that are on this list, I noticed a drop in my weight. Okay, I'm not going to read all the 20, but I'm going to read some of the ones that are genetically modified that they say that you should stay away from. Beef. They had said when cows eat GMOs, they get into the GMOs get into their system and become part of the meat. So if you're going to eat beef, only consume organic or grass-fed beef. That's one suggestion that the author had suggested. I personally just stopped eating beef about 5 years ago. But like once in a while, if I go somewhere, especially if it's 4th of July, I will have I have like either the organic beef dogs, or I'll have, what is it called? The kosher hot dogs. I forgot the name of it, but, or the kosher brand. I forgot the big brand name, but I'll definitely try to avoid certain foods. I don't know if ballpark. Yeah, I believe ballpark is considered GMO, but I'm not 100% sure. But those, definitely those types of foods I will stay away from. I don't even do pork anymore, so I'm not going to even add that on the list. Vegetable oil. I had stopped using the vegetable oil because I heard that there were studies saying that vegetable oil can can contribute to, what is it called? I'm sorry, not high blood pressure. Oh, high cholesterol, I'm sorry. High cholesterol. So I just said, you know what, I'm just not going to eat that at all. But as I was doing my research, I found out that the vegetable oil contains GMO. And they say that when they make, okay, the vegetable oil comes from, corn, soybean, cotton, and canola oils. And they said all of these crops have been genetically modified to withstand being dosed with Roundup. Now, Roundup, have you ever been into Walmart, the garden center, where they have the Roundup? And the purpose of the Roundup, I don't know if you know, is so that if you have a garden, you could spray the Roundup on your crops so that the animals don't have to come and eat it. It automatically kills the animals. Now, there was a big thing. People were upset with Monsanto because they like to use Roundup on the crops. And it's believed to said that it causes illnesses in people. There was actually a movie. I forgot the name of the movie. And I wish I knew the name. It was on Netflix the last time I had checked. This is a couple of months ago. And I'll get the title for you. But there was a movie about, there was a woman who had a son. And then all of a sudden one night, he started breaking out in these hives. So they kept taking him back and forth to the hospital, and they're saying, oh, we're sorry, we don't know. And then the kid started having trouble breathing. So of course, they dosed him with medications. So the woman began to wonder, is it the foods that she was eating? So she would go to the different organic farms in her area. And there was this one farmer, he was being harassed by a big company that portrayed Monsanto. Because it is true, Monsanto has harassed certain farmers and told them that if they don't stop using seeds, the organic seeds to plant and sell the crops, that they were going to sue them because they had a patent on seeds. So they said, oh, you can't plant these seeds. So a lot of farmers went out of business and they were sued, and no longer they had to close up shop because of this. So this is what happened in the movie, and it went on. It was really intense. I love that movie because it talked a lot about the foods. So she did find a farmer, and I think what's his name? Glover. I forgot his first name. Glover, the actor. He, I believe it was Glover, but Danny Glover. I think he was the farmer who owned an organic farm, and he passed away out of a heart attack because of stress, because the company that was like Monsanto kept harassing him and saying, well, if you don't do what we say and you don't stop selling these fruits and vegetables on your property, we're going to sue you. So the man died of a broken heart. So anyway, the woman had found the farm, and the son, he had a big rifle, and whoever went onto the property, he would threaten them, get off my property, this is my land, I own this land. So the woman's like, no, I looked on the list and it said that you were an organic farmer. I want to buy some fruits and vegetables for my son because he's very sick, and the foods that I buy, certain foods that I buy in the store is causing him to get sick. So the purpose of the story is that, okay, she gets these foods and she finds out information that the foods were harmful to not just the environment, but to human beings. And her mother worked at the Monsanto type of place, and they threatened her and said, well, if your daughter doesn't stop with this rant, you're going to have to be fired. We're going to fire you and even sue you possibly. So anyway, the long story, I just went off the deep end. I remind myself of my grandfather. They called him Father Brown, because he used to tell stories and testify for a long time. So that's what it reminded me of. But anyway, I don't want to make this a part 3. Oh my goodness. This is going to have to be a part 3 because I was supposed to explain about the vegetable oil. Oh man. Canola oil, they said, is genetically modified. Hawaiian papaya, certain squash. They said to buy organic squash instead. Flax seeds, and to buy organic. All the items that I'm mentioning, you would want to buy, so I suggest that you buy organic. Ice cream, sausage, tomatoes. I personally like the turkey sausage and the chicken sausage, but if you still eat the pork sausage, I think they said to get the organic or the free-range meats, or companies that are locally grown, because some of the sausage is contaminated with the GMOs. Cornstarch, soy. At one time I was like, oh, soy. Oh, I have soy milk because it's healthy. Okay, that's GMO. Soy oil, GMO. High fructose corn syrup. I know this sounds silly, but I've been ranting about high fructose corn syrup because the past 4 to 5 years I haven't. I try to avoid as much as possible foods that contain high fructose corn syrup. But I forgot, I didn't realize that that's considered a GMO strain, has strains of GMO. And this is a fact. A lot of people will argue this, the people who are for GMOs. It says that GMO in the HFCS, high fructose corn syrup, contains mercury, which has been linked to weight gain and type 2 diabetes. So they said just to avoid it altogether. And I was just avoiding it because, I knew about the weight gain, but I didn't realize that it had GMO strains inside of it. And it says that when HFCS is converted into corn syrup in a process involving bacterial enzymes, it's a process that involves bacterial enzymes and fungus. I said this is not a natural process and does not yield a natural product. So when you're eating foods or drinking foods, eating foods or drinking beverages that contain the high fructose corn syrup, then that means that you're eating something that's not natural, and it could cause weight gain. And I know that for a fact, that HFCS causes weight gain, because as soon as I stopped, I was an avid soda drinker. I drink soda, but I drink soda that doesn't contain high fructose corn syrup, and it's only for like a treat once in a while. That's the way Coke, years ago, back in the 50s, and I don't remember what year it was established, but back in the day, when people would go to the soda shop or a restaurant, they would order the Coca-Cola, the glass, the glass slim bottle, and that was a treat that they would have once in a while. But today, it's like, you buy loads of it in the store, and I used to buy it, and I would drink it. One time, my husband, it got so bad that we would buy the regular 2-liter soda. Let's say it was Coke or some of the other ones, Pepsi, and it will be gone by the end of the day. I was like, oh man, did we drink that much soda? Are they shrinking the bottles? I used to think that, they're trying to trick us and shrink the bottles, giving us less, making us think it's 2 liters when we're actually getting 1. That's not the case. They didn't shrink the bottles. It was because it had the chemical high fructose corn syrup in there that would trigger my brain to want to eat more, and I have to go. I'm going to do this in part 3, okay? I'm just going to wrap this up. Oh man, this was supposed to be short. This was only supposed to be a 5-minute video, and now it's about 20 minutes. But anyway, let me go, and I'll come back on in a few. See you soon.